Stop scrolling right now. Entire East Coast beaches are being completely overrun by thousands of teens jumping on cars and fighting in the streets. What you are looking at is the complete collapse of the American family.
Wait. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh my god. Oh, wait. I don't even know what the hell happened.
Wait, did you actually see what is happening in this clip? This isn't a movie set. This is Long Branch, New Jersey, and the police have completely lost control. Hundreds of teenagers are literally swarming vehicles, jumping on roofs, and turning the streets into an absolute war zone. But notice what is glaringly missing from this entire terrifying scene. Parents. You have to ask yourself, how does a massive crowd of minors end up out late at night coordinating this level of sheer chaos? This is not just a policing issue. This is a profound cultural failure. When there is zero structure in the home, the streets become the default babysitter. The teens aren't even hiding their faces because they inherently know there are zero real-world consequences for this behavior. It's an absolute indictment on a society that has entirely abandoned discipline and structure.
A little bit more money and you have 20 employees and you open a third outlet. By the time you've opened 1,000 outlets, you are a billionaire. Right. And by the way, this is a real life story. It happens all the time. It's In-N-Out Burger. It's, Raising Cane's chicken. At what point did that money all of a sudden become unethical? Or it didn't. There was one outlet.
Listen incredibly closely to what Jeff Bezos is saying here, because he is completely dismantling the progressive economic narrative on live television. He's addressing the radical idea pushed by politicians like AOC that earning $1 billion is inherently unethical. Notice the simple, undeniable logic he uses, the burger stand analogy. He points out that if you create a product that people genuinely love and you scale it up to thousands of locations, you become a billionaire. It's not a crime. It's a reward for serving millions of people. It's absolutely fascinating to watch a billionaire refuse to apologize for his success. Instead of caving to the socialist talking points, he is doubling down on the fact that wealth creation is the backbone of the American dream. The mainstream media desperately wants to frame all billionaires as villains, but Bezos just flawlessly reminded everyone that free market capitalism is exactly what built this country.
Parents have a fundamental responsibility to control their children. It's their children, not the government's children. And in the end, if parents do not step up and stand in the place of their children, then we're going to prosecute the parents and the children. And I can do it through truancy at school.
Look at the absolute fire in her eyes right now. Jeanine Pirro is saying the quiet part out loud, and the political establishment is shaking. She is demanding that the parents of these rioting teenagers be prosecuted and thrown in jail alongside their kids. Notice the sheer urgency in her voice. She explicitly states that these are not the government's children. They are the parents' responsibility. For years, society has made endless excuses for absentee parenting, blaming the system or the economy. But Pirro is drawing a hard line in the sand. If you cannot control your own child and they are out destroying property and stabbing people on a beach, then you are complicit. This level of accountability is exactly what the modern justice system is terrified of implementing. They would rather offer endless leniency, but she is proving that without aggressive family accountability, the chaos will absolutely never stop.
Alleged teen drunk driver. Now 11 people face charges for what they did. Take a look at Narragansett Town Beach as the fight broke out. The 3 people who were stabbed went to the hospital with minor injuries. Police arrested 2 adults for assault and other charges, but say they're still looking for the people responsible for the stabbings. Meanwhile, Dana, about 20 miles from here, a group of 1,200 teens packed a nearby...
Did you catch those staggering numbers? 1,200 teenagers packing a single beach. multiple stabbings, and a police officer actively struck by a drunk teen driver. This is happening in Rhode Island, not exactly an area known for mass civil unrest. This perfectly illustrates how fast this dangerous trend is spreading. Look at the aerial footage. It looks like absolute pandemonium. But what is truly terrifying is the brazen assault on the police officers trying to escort one disorderly person away. The crowd immediately encircled the cops, becoming aggressively hostile. This proves that we are dealing with a demographic that has completely lost any inherent respect for authority. When 1,200 kids feel empowered enough to mob law enforcement on a public beach, it signals a massive breakdown in the basic social contract. The authorities are scrambling to implement curfews, but a curfew is completely useless if the crowd is willing to fight the cops.
To the scene, police, you will see, lined up with riot shields, forcing everyone off the boardwalk and the roads leading into it in Long Branch, specifically Pier Village. This is not the first time this has happened. We have reports from May 2022 where a Long Branch curfew was issued at 9 p.m. and people were ordered to leave early. Last year, a man shot and killed at a concert here in Pier Village. It's not even Memorial Day weekend yet.
Watch this visual incredibly closely. You are literally looking at American police officers lined up in full riot gear, carrying shields, advancing down a suburban street just to clear out a mob of high schoolers. Let that sink in. This isn't a political protest. This is a random weekend beach gathering that escalated into a tactical police operation. The reporter mentions that this happened last year as well, resulting in a fatal shooting. This is the new, terrifying normal for coastal towns. The local economy is being held entirely hostage because families are absolutely terrified to visit these public spaces. Notice the complete drain on city resources, dozens of squad cars, tactical units, and overtime pay. All because thousands of parents have completely abandoned their duty to know where their kids are. It's an unsustainable crisis that is turning beautiful tourist destinations into active crime scenes.
But that's an aggressive United States attorney. You need aggressive district attorneys as well. You think New York, Alvin Bragg, is going to do something about the kids going crazy?
They're not in Chicago.
You think Fani in Atlanta is going to do something about the kids going crazy there? Absolutely not. You think in D.C., outside, the local attorney there is going to do something?
Listen to the brutal reality this panel is exposing right here. They are directly calling out the massive disconnect between aggressive federal prosecutors and the incredibly weak, politically motivated local district attorneys. You have cities like New York and Chicago where DAs are actively refusing to prosecute violent youth crime. Notice the absolute frustration on their faces. It doesn't matter how many riot cops you deploy if the local prosecutor is just going to let the violent offenders walk free the very next morning. This completely breaks the entire justice system. The teenagers participating in these takeovers know exactly who is in charge, and they know the DAs have their backs. When you remove the actual threat of real jail time, the law becomes a mere suggestion. It is a catastrophic failure of local leadership that is directly fueling the chaos we are seeing on the streets.
We obtained from a viewer, you can see a large group of what appears to be teenagers physically fighting and yelling. Police say they located 3 victims with stab wounds. As you said, those victims received treatment on the scene and were transported to the local hospital with minor injuries.
Look at the aftermath of the absolute chaos. The police are forced to tape off entire sections of the beach and sift through the sand for evidence just hours after a mass stabbing. 3 people wounded over what? An argument in a massive crowd of unsupervised minors. What you are witnessing is the catastrophic end result of a culture that prioritizes street credibility over basic human decency. Instead of focusing on education or building a future, these teenagers are treating extreme violence like it is a weekend sport. The local hospitals are being flooded with minor injuries from a preventable mob mentality. If the community does not completely change the underlying culture and the media these kids are consuming, we are going to see these tape lines on every major beach in America. It is a tragedy fueled entirely by learned, reckless behavior.